Hello everyone, it's Medne here, and hopefully you're having a nice time this year celebrating Midsummer Festival. Hopefully. This year I figure out I would do something similar I did last year, but it's gonna be a little bit different. Last year I was reading together with Starlight Rose, or aka Starlight Foxy. I was reading Midsummer's Night's Dream, which I also found on Google Play. You can check it out if you also want to read it yourself. You can you can watch it. It's a pretty long video, but it's the whole Shakespeare novel read out to you by our terrible English reading. Hopefully this year I'm gonna read better, but this is definitely not the same thing. This is called A Midsummer's Night. Forgot already. A Midsummer's Night Choice. That's how it's called. And it's a choice-based game, and we're just gonna do that. So here's the start, and I'm gonna read it out. In this Shakespearean comedy adventure, can forbidden love conquer adorable fairy outlaws? A Midsummer's Night Choice is a 190,000 word interactive fantasy novel by Craig Segal. Thank you, Craig Segal, for your work putting into this whole novel into a game where your choices control the story. It is entirely text-based, without graphics or sound effects, and fueled by the vast, unstoppable power of your imagination. Or our imagination, honestly. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid's painted blind. When your father, the Duke, tries to force you to marry, you'll leave civilization behind as you flee in disguise, cross-dressed, into the enchanted forest. Mistaken identities, inexplicable bears, and tiny but fearsome fairies await. Seriously, they were little walnut shells for helmets, and ride armored baby bunnies into ball. That's super cute. Will you fall into the mysterious fairy queen's clutches? Will you, or your identical doppelganger, find true love? Or will your father's spies find you first? Hold on to your heart. The course of true love never did run smooth. First, play as male or female, gay, straight, or bi, which is super cool. I love that. Inspire the world with your noble deeds, or play everything for laughs. Yeah, we can do that. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do something for laughs, and I don't know the choices, so we'll see how that goes. Star in a play within a play. Become a jester, a diplomat, a knight, a poet, a shepherd, or leave the world behind and enjoy the fairy court. We can do that too. Why is there a bear? Right, some question, honestly. So it says I can play first 2 chapters of the game for free and then purchase later in game for $5.99. I am considering to buy the game, but we'll see how the first 2 chapters go. If it's gonna be super fun, which I believe it's gonna be by the start I already read, then most likely I'm gonna buy. So for now, we're gonna read the first 2 chapters and see how it goes. Welcome to the prologue, the only child of an ailing duke. In Upper Fogsworth, is that a place? Probably. Where we start this scene, we'll shortly face harsh words and stern rebuke, and flee the castle to a world more green. The Duke's soul hair is summoned to his side. What next shall pass? Your choices shall decide. This is going to be another of those old English types of readings, isn't it? Well, I need to practice my reading, so here we go. Act 1, Scene 1. An intolerable situation. You had the very best intentions when your father commanded that you attend him in his quarters promptly at 2 o'clock. You really did, but one thing led to another, and the day got away from you. Now father is going to be furious. You run across a meadow, past farmers' tending father's lands. Some of them lean on their spades and watch you pass in surprise, not expecting to see the Duke's heir tearing across their lands in such haste. You must be at least an hour late, and you are going to get a stern lecture about responsibility. He'll probably give you that look that says he's disappointed and that he expects more from you. But surely, you could make father understand he was young once on such a beautiful day. How could he blame you? You were just. Aha, now we have choices. Attending a wonderful new comedy at the theater, exploring that old cave network behind the palace, completely absorbed in a book sitting against an old stone wall near the daffodil patch, laughing, dancing, and drinking in the tavern. Definitely not the last one. He would be definitely super angry about that, I think. And also, that doesn't resonate with me. Let's see which of these ones resonate with me, because attending wonderful new comedy at the theater, no. Exploring that old cave network behind the palace, completely absorbed in a book sitting against an old stone wall near the daffodil patch. Either I would explore the hole or the cave, old cave, or being absorbed in a book. Knowing me, I don't read books that often, so I would probably go in a cave. Next. Ooh, our first choice. We did our first choice. Those caves called to you for weeks, but only today did you have time to explore. You wish you had time to change before meeting with father. You shake out the guano from your hair as best as you can as you run across the fields towards home. Did you go exploring alone or with your best friend? Prenzy. Hello, Prenzy, our best friend. We'll see, alone so I could push myself further than I ever had before without any distractions. Alone so I could take few hours deep within the cave to capture its natural beauty in a drawing. With Prenzy so we could talk and laugh as we explored. If I ever would explore caves, I would definitely do it with my bestie Foxy. Or Starlight. But I do love drawing too. I'll go with Prenzy. Is Prenzy a young man or a young woman? Prenzy. I didn't even think about it. I was imagining it as a girl, honestly. So let's go with the girl, because I imagined the girl. You have been friends with Prenzy for 8 years since she first came to father's court. She is a licensed professional fool, entertaining father courtiers during feasts and mocking important people without fear of punishment. Father has almost no patience for foolery, but having a real fool is practically a requirement for a court of any importance. Prenzy is your oldest friend, someone you can trust to tell you the truth, even when she's mocking you. You finally convinced Prenzy to come with you, and although she fell into the crevasse immediately, it was wonderful to walk in the near dark with her and explore. In the end, there was more conversation than exploration. Prenzy admitted that it was fun, but said that she was all done with outdoors and would be comfortably staying under a roof from now on. After leaving the cave, Prenzy went off on her own, saying she would meet you for dinner. A bit later, you realized that you were late. Aww. Although you tried to put it out of your mind, the thought of father's impending anger tightens your stomach with anticipation. As you try unhappily to think of how you can excuse yourself, you finally cross the field, run past the numerous outbuildings, and reach the threshold of the ducal residence, where a troop of father's guards is marching by smartly. As you are about to enter the palace, what do? I pause and dramatically look back towards the forest in the distance. I delay entering by watching the guards. I break into a run to ensure that I get to father as quickly as possible. If I'm late for something, I would definitely not think about it and just go. That's me, mostly. But if I have to meet someone who probably hates me, I would look back in the forest. You know, Wolfies always got to look back in the forest, because I miss the forest, goddammit. The forest. You take a deep breath. I take a deep breath? You take a deep cleansing breath, as if you could smell the sweet scent of pine or willow Actually, you aren't sure what sort of trees grow in the Great Forest. Oh, I haven't been to the forest. Oh no. Definitely need to go to the forest. They are the green kind, though. You feel an affinity for the forest, although you have not been allowed to venture into it much. Some say the forest is filled with outlaws, some say it is the home of ravenous and enchanted beasts out of storybooks. You put the back of your hand to your forehead and ponder your strange fate, living in the palace, but drawn to the green woods, always close to the forest but never quite within it. You shake your head, utter a sigh, and turn to enter the palace. You run upstairs towards Father's receiving chamber. The guard at the door of the receiving chamber nods his head respectfully to you and motions to the adjacent room, I guess. Please wait here. His Grace will be with you momentarily. Won't you amuse yourself in the portrait gallery while you wait? You can hear Father's arguing with someone inside, his voice rising in intensity. How dare you? This is outrageous. You and the guard share a quickly look, and then you enter the gallery. This portrait gallery is an ornate chamber decorated with carved dark wood and adorned with 24 paintings and tapestries with mythological themes. Ooh, interesting. Is there any werewolves there? Or vampires? Or dragons, maybe? A balcony leads off of this room with a stunning view of the palace gardens and, further on, the majestic forest that borders Father's land. It is a room meant solely to impress visitors with Father's impeccable taste. But the chairs are uncomfortable, and dreary portraits of your ancestors loom over you from everywhere. Jesus. You understand that when Mother was alive, this room was a lovely and sunny sitting room, but now, much like Father, it is cold and unwelcoming. That's depressing, honestly. I'm sad for this girl. I would run away too, honestly. Over the fireplace is a portrait of you, commissioned just last year. It's a portrait of a... now I choose what kind of gender I have. Well, I'm a woman, so let's go with the woman. The brass plate at the bottom of the painting tells the viewer your name. What does it say? Ooh, I can be Sophia, Eleanor. Actually, we have a fox named Eleanor. It's not a real fox, it's a toy, but yeah, Eleanor. Florimel, that's an interesting one. Kate. I'll make up my own name. Yes, I make up my own. What's your name? I'm Medne. Yes, I was afraid I can't click E there. Okay, Medne. Yay! I'm in the game. The brass plate reads, Lady Medne, the only child of heir of the Duke of Upper Foxworth. That kind of made me smile, honestly, to see my name there. That's cool. Your portrait shows you at your best, doing something you are quite good at. What are you doing in the portrait? Laughing with the rapier, with obvious coordination and skill. Not laughing, lunging with the rapier. Okay, strolling in the garden in a fashionable outfit, looking very fine indeed. What a fine lady, indeed. Playing a harp with various other artistic accoutrements surrounding me. I'm sorry if I read some words incorrectly. Discoursing intelligently to various courtiers who look intrigued. Let me think about. Alright. Lunging with a rapier. Definitely not sword type of a person, gonna tell you that. Also not gonna play lap harp. It seems very complicated. I think I'm gonna be very fashionable, very, very fine looking lady. The young woman in the portrait clearly knows how to attract attention. Various courtiers in the garden turns to see her as she passes. Several of them are bowing deeply, clearly deeply enamored of her, as witnessed by the little hearts about their heads. Or maybe above their heads. Or maybe. Your small portrait is dwarfed by your father's, which shows him as he was in his youth, at about your age, in fact, which is when he became duke. The painting shows one of father's most notable early achievements. Father gained great glory in the field that you are weakest in, unfortunately. That has always been a source of displeasure for him. What is your father's doing in his portrait? Oh, I can choose. He is on horseback in battle. He is in costume as Apollo, the sun god, and a well-attended performance. He is sitting in his study, writing an erudite book in Latin. What am I not good at? I haven't sat on a horseback and being in a battle, honestly. No idea how I would be in performing stuff, but I would definitely not want to sit and study and write erudite book in Latin. Honestly, I don't know Latin. Maybe the horseback is kind of fitting me more. Like, I honestly don't know what to answer here. The horseback it is. Yes, father was known as a great warrior. Yes, warrior. When he was younger, the portrait shows him bravely slaying either the Earl of Northleaf of the allegory of unrighteousness. You forget which. At any rate, he's slaying something and looking very strong and bold. You have never excelled in feats of strength or combat. You know how disappointed he is with you, but ever since mother died when you were born, father has been sick and bedridden. Oh, so he could ride to battle no more. His illness has embittered him. So he's on the bed. How interesting. You wait for a while, a bit bored, studying the portraits. As always, you notice the slightly faded rectangle on the wall where you assume your mother's portrait once hung next to father's. You aren't sure exactly why it was removed when she died, and whenever you bring it up to father, he shuts down the conversation entirely. You heard rumors, but you aren't sure what to believe. Some say she died in childbirth, but some of the town folks say she was enchanted by a necromancer, and some of the old women of the town said that when the moon is bright and the world is quiet, they can almost hear her singing in the forest near the palace. Oh, I was thinking maybe she's a werewolf because of the moon. What do you feel when you think about your mother? Nothing in particular, I have many other things on my mind. I don't believe the legends of the townsfolk. That kind of magic only exists in silly stories, not in real life. It's strange sometimes, if I close my eyes, I feel like I almost can see her, fleetingly. Then she disappears. Mostly I'm angry. I know where there's something father isn't telling me. I believe in the stories. I listen for her voice, and although I haven't heard her yet, I keep listening. Yeah, mostly. I would probably go for that one. The shouting continues in the next room. It sounds like someone is banging on a table for emphasis. Maybe father will get tired of shouting by the time he's ready to see you, but you somehow doubt it. You do wonder what's going on in there. Surely father would understand if you eavesdropped. Just a little bit. After all, curiosity is the sign of a lively internet? Yeah, lively internet connection. Lively intellect and unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Father has always encouraged you to learn as much as you can. In a very real sense, it is as if he wishes you to eavesdrop on his meeting. How are you going to listen in? I know of an unused door that connects the art gallery and father's room. If I open it a bit, no one should notice. I go out to the balcony and lean over it. Maybe I can see into father's window from there. I get the garden to leave so I can peek into father's keyhole. I would sneak around to the room, honestly. You hold your breath and nudge the door open. I'm sorry for the dogs in the back room, barking. Hopefully they're not too annoying in the background. Now you can see into father's receiving chamber. which is also his bedroom, since he has been bedridden for years. He is propped up on the bed, a small tray that doubles as writing desk perched on the bed next to him is strewn with papers, an inkstand, the ducal seal, and a ledger maybe. Father is gesturing at a map of the duchy on the wall, and he is clearly very, very angry. Father's stringy grey hair frames his determined but fading noble features. As you look at Father, you feel the similar mix of emotions you've come to associate with him. He is your only family, and so of course you owe him your dutiful affection and obedience. But he makes it so difficult. He is stern and sharp with you, and he makes it impossible to give him the kindness a father deserves. You recognize the man he is arguing with. He is the ambassador from Lower Fogsworth, the neighboring land. They are the rivals of Upper Hogsworth, but you don't remember things being this volatile before. Then again, it isn't like Father likes you into his confidence when it comes to politics. He is pale and clearly in great pain, but he masks it in the presence of the ambassador. Alice, one might say, when gazing upon him, here was once a great man. Even in his stricken condition, confined to his bed as he is, he clearly intimidates the ambassador. Also in the room is Dr. Nostrum, your father's personal physician. Dr. Nostrum. Dr. Nostrum attended the university at Palermo and is world-recognized healer, but even he has been unable to keep your father's unfortunate condition from deteriorating. He tisks and takes your father's pulse even as the political argument swirls around him. Very well then, your father says. If you refuse to retrain in your bandits, we will respond in ways that make you sorely rue your base conduct. Oh, there will be rueing. Make you no mistake about the rueing. The Marquess of Lower Fogsworth denies your accusation, your grace, and we will not be charged with such wild provocations without responding to this insult. My master assures you that when he chooses to seize your duchy, you will know it. That is where the ruining will come in. Begone to your master then and tell him to prepare himself. We shall not long wait before we march. You are so absorbed by your eavesdropping that you fail to notice the guard standing at the door of Porter Gowling looking at you suspiciously. Uh-oh. The guard clears his throat. Lady Medne, is everything quite all right? How are you going to get rid of him? I'll use my authority over him to make him leave me alone. I'll confuse him until he leaves. I'll act friendly towards him to get him to leave me alone. I'm gonna act friendly. Oh, I earned achievement. You overheard all Father's meetings. Cool. You turn from the door and smile at him. You approach him and whisper, I know it's wrong, but Father never tells me anything. I'm just going to listen for a minute. Please do not tell him. He grins and shakes his head. I didn't see a thing, but if you get in trouble, that's on you. He strolls back to the hallway. Oh, he's a good guard. I like him already. Father looks frustrated and weary as he puts aside a stack of documents. At the foot of the bed is a man in his 50s that you do not know. He is dressed well and is probably some noble visitor. You see, then, why this alliance is necessary, Father says drooly, winching a bit as Dr. Nonstrom takes some blood. The stranger nods and sighs. I do, Your Grace, and the honor is mine. He makes a deep bow with an elaborate hand twirl. And yet Medne may object and create a fuss. She can be willful, Father sighs. Ah, but surely she can be made to see what would be best for all. Very well then, I shall call Medne in, and that I may instruct her as to her duty. Father then coughs deeply and productively. That's me trying to fake the cough. After some time, the guard calls out, "Lady Medne, His Grace the Duke is prepared to see you now." He opens the door for you, and you enter to see a very concerned-looking Dr. Nonstrom carefully swirling a flask of what you can only assume is father's urine. Ew. You couldn't do it in any other time, dude. He wafts the aroma towards his nose and inhales. Oh. Is that helping to understand what's going on by sniffing the urine? Or you're trying to stay up? Huh? Tell me how it is. Are you like so amazed by everything that you're just like, losing your consciousness? That's why you need to sniff the urine. Dr. Nonstrom sighs and makes a few notes in the margin of your father's horoscope. "I'm afraid, Your Grace, that your humors are wholly imbalanced. You have become increasingly choleric, and phlegm, your phlegm is just dreadful. Your fistula does not appear to be improving. Indeed, quite the opposite. You simply must rouse yourself from this bedchamber and take some healthful waters in a wholesome locale." Father waves him off, coughs a few times, shifts uncomfortably on the bed, and then says, "Enough, enough, doctor. I know that I'm not long for this world. It is for this reason that I have called Medne to me now." He turns to you with a raised eyebrow. "You were very late, I understand. Well, what do you have to say for yourself?" I meet Father's gaze steadily and make no excuses. I change the subject by trying to engage him in stimulating conversation. I try to act innocent. I'm just gonna gaze and make no excuse, honestly. You try but fail to meet Father's gaze, so you simply clamp your mouth shut, refusing to defend your decision to have fun this morning. "Impertinence!" Father cries, making a sudden violent gesture and nearly knocking the flask of urine out of Dr. Nonstrom's hand. "You dare to brave me to my face in this manner? You should humbly beg forgiveness. Save your sounds for moments when I have not addressed you. Now listen carefully to me, young imp. Excuse me, you want something from me and you act like this, dude? I don't care that you're like some head of something or my father or something. This is not how you act towards men now, honestly. What is this nonsense?" Father pauses and a wave of pain passes over his face. Dr. Nonstrom clucks and administers a poultice to his forehead, slowly shaking his head and pursing his lips. "Young woman," his father says, "a true ruler must understand the art of war. You must breed strategy. You must live a life of hardship out in the field with soldiers so that they will respect you enough to take orders from you. Above all else, you must learn to fight. Here, take that old walking stick and imagine it a sword. And Dr. Nonstrom, you take these two candles and let us imagine that they are daggers. So, child, an unarmed assailant comes at you with two daggers seeking to slay you. Show me that you have learned something." Dude, you're making your doctor to fight with me? What is this? Dr. Nonstrom uncertainly brandishes the two candles at you. "Come, child, disarm him. Let me see you defend yourself." Shifting your feet into what you hope is a fighting stance, you swing the heavy walking stick. However, the stick slips from your grasp, flies across the room, and goes through the priceless dressing screen. You hear a loud thump from behind the screen, and then there is an uncomfortable silence. Dr. Nonstrom gently sets down the candles, and Father looks at you with horror. "This is far, far worse than I thought. Hopeless." Jesus Christ, dude. "Truly, I blame myself. This is what comes of you spending far too much time with Prenzy. I insist your close association come to an end. Truly, how could I expect you would be other than a fool when you spend your days learning from a fool?" You begin to protest to defend Prenzy, but Father raises his hand. That is not why we are here today. We are here to discuss your immediate future. The world is changing, and our duchy is in peril. But I assume you are willful ignorant of the larger world around you. I suppose you have no idea why I called you here. Honestly, I have actually do, because I heard everything kinda. Well, I didn't hear everything, but I heard some ideas, so I have idea he will try to maybe marry me into a family or something to have some sort of a peace or alliance. You truly you try to look well informed. Surely you mean is that that's what I'm saying. Surely you mean the bandit situation in the forest, the tension with lower log forts, the recent visit from the ambassador. This one. I noticed the ambassador from Lower Foxworth was here, and he did not seem to be bearing good news. Father looks briefly impressed, and he nods. Very good. If you are as informed as you seem to be, then you must also be aware that although our duchy is strong, our treasury is limited at this time. Thanks to the depredations of the forest bandits, we must knit an alliance with one who can help us to fill our coffers, that we might meet the threat of Lower Hogsworth. Does this have to do with the old man who was in here? Is he hiding in here somewhere? Is this going to be a marriage proposal? Father, you cannot. You must not. Father opens and shuts his mouth a few times. How you been spying on me? Father's face turns crimson. He tries to get out of bed, but collapses back, sweating and panting. Very well, very well. I am impressed. And since you know already what I am about to break to you, you have had time to conform yourself to my plan. Come out, lump, Pendergast, Father wheezes. It is time to speak to men about the matter we discussed earlier. From behind the dressing screen, the old man you saw earlier steps slowly out and nods to you. He has a big, painful looking bump above his left eye. Oh, that explains the thump you heard when you threw the stick through the screen. You start to apologize, but he waves your apology away. I hit him with the stick. Best intro ever for the dude. It is nothing. I'm honored to meet you. I'm Lord Pendergast. He approaches you and creakily offers you a bow with a lot of flourishes, lifting your hand to his lips for a very wet kiss. Dude. This close you can see the wrinkles on his face. His lips are slightly abrasive to your hand. How old is this dude? My lady, he says. My delicate dove, this is so unexpected, so unlooked for, to have a chance to woo you for my own. How does the poem go? Ah, yes. Come live with me and be my love. I shall be a most attentive husband to you. He devotes some more attention to your hand before you manage to extract it. I would be so not into this. Like, oh. Yeah, this makes sense. I would also run away, honestly. Father clears his throat. This alliance between our house and House Pendergast is of utmost importance. House Pendergast is old and well respected and very well off, let us say. You don't say anything, so father continues. War is coming, child. Lower Hogsworth will soon invade, and I assure you that without this alliance to House Pendergast, Upper Hogsworth will have great difficulty defending ourselves. Lord Pendergast is the last Pendergast and a crucially ally. He, struck with love for you, has promised to share his considerable fortune with us in exchange for this marriage. Lord Pendergast smiles and offers you a look intended to convey passion, but with intent resembles indigestion. And perhaps, he says, together we may make new Pendergast. Oh God. Father turns to you. Well, what do you say, child? Will you submit to me and marry as I choose? I want you wed at once. He picks up a cup of watered wine from his tray and begins to drink as you ponder your response. I make up an excuse claiming that I'm already promised to someone else, voice my strong voice my strong opposition, and try to get them to feel sorry for me. Oh, mm, I honestly don't know. Actually, want to say, be like, I'm promised to someone else. I have this boyfriend living in the forest I've never been to, or girlfriend. Not gonna judge. You see, father, you must excuse me. I'm unfortunately promised to another. You say, thinking as fast as you can. It was but recently that I met my true love, and we have made certain assurances and vows to each other. Father's nostrils flare, Lord Pendergast looks embarrassed, and appears to be taking great interest in a vase on the mantel. And who is this true love? Father asks quietly. And who is this true love? Naturally, had I known that I would be offered such a prize of Lord Pendergast, I would never have committed myself, but ah, you say, now warming to your story, I think you will find it no shock that I have fallen deeply in love with a young and attractive courtier who intends to make a fortune in the colonies, a distant relation of the emperor himself who I have fallen deeply in love with, an exotic and wealthy foreigner who has entranced me with tales of bold adventure. Oh, definitely this one. Bold adventure, exotic, foreigner. Father spits out his wine, and Dr. Nonser dabs him with a cloth. What is this madness? There are not the words of a responsible child. There will be no adventures and certainly no bold ones. But father, you protest. I had to go for the rich man, didn't I? He doesn't like this. I will not hear of it. You had the presumption to make arrangement for yourself without me? Jesus. He motions to Dr. Nonser to remove his tray. Dear father, I must. Must mean no must, child. You shall obey me. Yes. Yes, you think you have made a match for yourself and you think you have chosen wisely, but you have chosen for love, not out of wisdom. He makes a dismissive gesture. You shall break this foolish betrothal at once. Write to your intendant and make it clear that I am displeased and that you are not yours to dispose of so lightly. Write this letter and then bring it to me for my approval. Then you and Lord Pendergast shall marry at once, today. Go now. Oh my god, already today? Lord Pendergast offers you a reassuring smile. You shall find me, he says, a most devoted and affectionate partner. We might be, shall we say, of different seasons of the year, but you shall find that my snowy locks hide a heart of fire with love for you. And so this match will be one of both adorations and political union until we meet again, my dear. She's probably super older though than me. Go now, child, write that letter and return here in 1 hour. Prepare to submit to me and do not be late again. Of course, you say. Certainly. You depend the bedchamber and run down the hallway towards your room, with your heart in your throat and the prospect of a lifetime of unhappiness ahead of you. Just 1 hour of freedom remains. Exhund. Oh, we finished the act. Act 1, Scene 1. Flight to the forest. Act 1, Scene 2. Cool. Horrified by father's demand and knowing you don't have much time, you walk as quickly as you can through the palace to your quarters. Your head is filled with wild plans and things you should have said, but he would not have listened. You open the door to your sitting room, usually your place of safety, but nothing feels safe anymore. What do your sitting room look like? Ooh, I can choose my room. It's luxurious, full of rich woods, exotic rugs, and expensive decorations. It is immaculately organized. The closet is organized by color and carefully alphabetized within each color subgroup. It is bright and airy. The walls are decorated with murals, and the windows are designed to let in a lot of light. It's a mess. There are dishes everywhere, clothing tossed over chairs, and half-finished projects lying abandoned. Um, I'm gonna go with the third one. You feel that life needs to be beautiful. Your room reflects this. Your room is exactly the way you like it, and the thought of having to leave this behind and share your living space with that old man is not a happy one. Yeah, I figured that he's an old man. You close the door and lock it. How do you express how you are feeling at this moment? Either I sit down and logically think through my predicament, or I go to the window, look out at the world, and speak poetry, or I write a letter to a friend imploring them for aid. I'm gonna write a letter to my friend, probably to that Joker girl. Surely someone, anyone, will be willing to help you take a stand against father if you can only get a letter to them. And who better to begin with than Prenzy? Yeah, I thought so. Sure, she will be able to suggest a plan. You sit at your desk and begin to write. Dear Prenzy, please help me. I'm about to be trapped in a marriage against my will. You give your letter opening, a few dramatic readings aloud, to ensure that it has the proper mixture of urgency and sorrow. I wonder if I should add an Alice, you say to yourself, tapping the pen on the desk. You should put something about being desolate and being in need of succor, Prenzy says. I think that would be perfect there. You drop the paper and see what you missed when you walked into the room. Prenzy is sprawled across the chair in the corner with a pen in her hand and some crumbled papers around her on the floor. What are you doing? Prenzy sighs and taps the pen loudly on a table. Nothing at all. Specifically, I'm not getting anywhere with writing something funny for tonight's performance. Say something funny? Nah. This is going to be a truly miserable show tonight. Come, let us be miserable together. You smile in spite of your own tragic situation. I won't ask how you are, Prenzy says, sighing. I could hear the shouting from across the palace. Naturally, you must not marry Pendergast. But how can I avoid it? Well, simply I have to convince your father somehow. I saw a play about this once. I think we need to pretend you are dead. Wait a moment. Actually, that didn't end up too well for the young lovers involved. Never mind. There is a knock on your door, and you startle. Could that be father's guards coming to fetch you already? Who is it? You call. It's Morgan. Let me in, Medne. You open the door and see Morgan standing there looking worried. Morgan is rising new courtier in your father's court, and you two have become good friends over the past few months. Is Morgan a dashing young man or an elegant young woman? I imagine a girl again. Why everything I imagine is a girl? It's a woman. Father very much approves of Morgan. She comes from a good family and is as far acceptable companion for you than Prenzy. Morgan is the very picture of a fashionable lady. Her black hair is quite long and adorned with a small jeweled cap. She wears a fine green gown and an outrageously expensive green wallet cape that you happen to know nearly bankrupt her. Ooh, green velvet cape, that's cool. They're like green stuff. No wonder why we're friends. She has green stuff. Morgan is the third daughter of a minor noble family, but where many young women would be married off strategically by her family, a situation you now appreciate only too well. Morgan's cleverness and reputation for loyal service reached the ears of your father, and she was invited to the palace. She is starting to become a popular courtier, much sought after for her company, because she is expected to rise high in father's favor. Morgan first came to father's court several months ago. How did you meet? She noticed me buying some strange things at a local apothecary. I soundly trashed her in a game of tennis. She called me to a game of chess. We were seated next to each other at a ceremony in honor of Lord Mayor. Yeah, I'm gonna buy some weird stuff. You had heard the local apothecary had some small understanding of the ways of magic, and you listened to him babble for a while. You purchased some herbs and tinctures to experiment with. Yeah, sounds like me, honestly. You bumped into Morgan on the way out of the shop, your hands filled with full, foul-smelling bundles of leaves and fragile balls of some sort of frothy red liquid. You struck up a conversation as you walked to the palace, laughing about how you wanted to see whether the apothecary really knew anything about magic. It turns out that he didn't, and you clothes reeked for weeks. Aww. You and Morgan turned out to have a similar sense of humor, and you realized that you liked each other. You managed to keep yourself from retching as you held the herbs, which you think helped you to make a good first impression. Since you met, you and Morgan have found yourself spending a good deal of time together. Do you think there could be more than just friendship here? My, game. Getting all spicy already. Not at all. I really don't know. There's definitely a possibility there. Very much so, and I've tried to let her know how I feel. Hmm. About Morgan. I don't like as reading this, I don't think, but I'm gonna be like, there's a possibility. There's always a possibility out there. And if you're struggling in your life and being very confused, there's always definitely a possibility. Just have to, believe it a little bit. There's a spark of excitement when the two of you are together that may turn into something wonderful. You would not normally become friendly with one of father's courtiers, but Morgan is only a few years older than you, and there's something about Morgan that makes you appreciate her as more than just another functionally around the court. What do you like best about Morgan? Her loyalty to me and father, her willingness to challenge me when she thinks I'm wrong, her sense of humor, her willingness to sit and talk to me, her eyes. Definitely not loyalty to the father. I mean, if she would be loyal to me in a very friendly way, that would be very good. Challenge me and think when she thinks I am wrong. That's kind of fun, I would say. Let me be honest, I do like people eyes, like in real life. That's one of the features I like about other people, like how their eyes look like. And I do appreciate when people sit and talk to me. So I'm gonna go with sitting and talking to me. Morgan is very good to talk to, not just for banter, but also when you have something real to talk about that you don't want treated lightly. Prenzy is wonderful, but she doesn't take much seriously. You usually stay up late to spend time with Morgan after she is done with her duties at court. You've been getting a lot less sleep, but the company is worth it. Yeah, there are some friends you want to spend time with, no matter what's the time, or no matter if so much responsibilities you have or what you need to do. There are some people you are willing to do everything for, just to be together and spend time with them, because they're just wonderful people, not gonna lie. Morgan bids you and Prenzy a good afternoon. Glancing behind her toward the hall with a concerned look in her eyes, Prenzy rises, giving Morgan a deep mock bow with a flourish. To what do we owe the honor of this visit? Prenzy asks. Morgan enters the room and closes the door behind her. I heard what happened, Medne. I do not know what to say. This is terrible, and I want you to know that I do not eager with it. If I had known about the Duke's plan, I would have concealed him against them. I would have concealed the Duke that way as well, Prenzy chimes in. Prenzy clasps her hands together and puts on a grave expression that looks so much like Morgan's that you can't help smiling. Morgan sits across from you and looks worried. The Duke's guards are already coming to fetch you even now. What are you going to do? I'm gonna run away. You look at Prenzy and Morgan, the only people at court you really trust. You know what you have to do. You have to run away. You look longingly out the window to the forest. Father and Lord Pendergast will never find me in the forest. That is where I will go, and I will live there forever after. You say with resolution. Come with me. Prenzy nods immediately and throws down the pen she was holding. Oh, thank merciful Jove! Now I won't have to write anything for the performance tonight. I thought you might decide that, Morgan says. So I took the liberty of packing some dinner for you. Aw, what a great friend. She puts a small sack on the table. Just cold meat pies and some fruit from last night's dinner. I will attend you in the forest as well, Morgan says, smiling at you. Yay, Morgan's coming too! I will do my best to delay any pursuers and then meet you near the cracked rock that stands next to the tall sycamore tree. Don't worry, Medne. We will sort this out. Morgan turns to leave the room, but you go over to her before she departs. I step close to Morgan, look her in the eyes, and then kiss her. Aww. I embrace Morgan closely. I am visibly and charmingly perplexed about my feeling towards Morgan. I shake Morgan's hand. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate your help. I nod at Morgan, immediately turn to preparing. I will embrace her because I feel like she's a very close and very caring friend, I would say, so I would embrace her closely. You throw your arms around her, holding her closely for a moment or two. Then you pull away, and Morgan raises an eyebrow at you. We'll continue this conversation later, she says and departs. You turn back around to see Prenzy practicing raising one eyebrow. Are you quite done with hugging? Can we resume fleeing? Because I'm quite ready to flee. How should you escape the palace? I'll climb out the window. I'll talk my way past the guard at the front door and walk right out. I'll slip unnoticed past the guards, evading them expertly. I think I'll try to go past unnoticed. Okay, we'll see how it goes. You know this palace better than anybody. You know where the darkest shadows fall, the lines of sight, and which floorboards are squeaky. With nearly supernatural stealth, you slip through the holes in the guards' patrols and easily guide Prenzy down to the first floor. A stout, halberd-wielding guard paces back and forth, but you and Prenzy are far too stealthy. Yes! You're stealthy. You duck behind statues while the guard's back is turned, and you make your way to the trapdoor into the root cellar. From there, you both squeeze through the ancient secret escape route out into the side of the well in the courtyard. From there, it's a simple matter of climbing up the well rope to freedom. That was amazing, Prenzy says. I didn't know you could do that. Yes, I didn't either. I like it. A warm, strange, but happy feeling washes over you. Then you pause. You have the distinct sense that someone has noticed your absence. Yes, there, far in the distance, you see Father's guards clearly moving towards you. Uh-oh, they noticed me. Your head start lasts only a few minutes, as an alarm horn sounds from within the palace. You both tear across the palace grounds, knowing that pursuit is imminent. Of course, you have an advantage over the armored guards, as you hop over fences and climb trees to confuse any pursuers who may try to track you. You pray that Morgan will find a way to slow any pursuit, but you can hear the howls of dogs and hunting horns very close behind you. Father must have sent the ducal huntsman on you. We have to disguise ourselves, you say, panting. And then we have to get into the forest. Prenzy thinks for a moment and then nods and leads you to an unused outbuilding on the outskirts of the palace grounds. You and Prenzy duck inside. As you enter the building, you catch Prenzy's eyes. What happens next? I start laughing at how absurd the situation has become and get right to work figuring out what to do next. I take Prenzy's hands for comfort. I smile wryly at Prenzy and make a cynical comment. I would make a cynical comment, I think. Still happy you came along? Yeah, I think I would say that, actually. I wouldn't have missed it for the world, she says. Good exercise, fresh air, pursued by starving hounds. Who could ask for more? Prenzi sighs and stretches contentedly. After a few moments, she turns to look around the small outbuilding. The building is a small, somewhat mildly shack that looks like nobody has ventured into it in a decade. A floor is covered in slightly sticky grime and sawdust. This is the building where the old theater troupe used to store their costumes and props before the stage collapsed and they were disbanded, she says. Some of their costumes must still be in here, at least they were last year. Sure enough, under a moldy canvas there is a crate of clothes. For the time being, you have to leave behind your old identity as Lady Medne. Hair to the dukedom. I'm a duck now. Hair to the dukedom, and go boldly forth into the forest with a new identity. You poke through the clothes, uncertain what would be best. As it turns out, there are only men clothes here. You will have to disguise yourself as a man in the forest for the time being. I wonder if I chose to be a man, if it would be woman clothes. If it would be opposite or not, that would be interesting. And you will need a good disguise, and a father has sent his best hunters after you. You consider carefully. You will disguise yourself as... there we go. A burly village blacksmith, a mendicant friar, a scholarly academic, an ancient Trojan warrior. When I read that blacksmith, I came in my mind one of the Warcraft Draenei lines. I'm a single Draenei female looking for blacksmith with a grinding wheel to take care of me and my gorgeous hooves. What is mendicant friar, I wonder? Okay, mendicant friar is something to do with a religion where the people are begging and living in rural areas, so definitely not that one. I think academic would be the much easiest to try to be, because I don't think she knows how to be a blacksmith. I don't want to embarrass myself to be a poor religious guy, and she's also not very good of a warrior, as we heard. So academic, maybe because she reads stuff, I think she might be smart, so that would be the most, just in case, you know. You put on the black velvet robe, slide your arms through the pointed sleeves, and arrange the hood over your shoulders. The costume comes with a thick and dusty book to complete the effect. Prenzi looks out the door to offer some privacy as you change, but also to keep watch. It wouldn't do to be caught now, when you were so close to the forest. As you change out of your old clothes and into your scholar disguise, you reveal the distinctive birthmark on your left shoulder, a birthmark that surely will play no part whatsoever in the adventure that is to come. Why is it an option to choose then? Your distinctive birthmark looks like... I don't have a birthmark there, honestly. I just have like a dot. It's very tiny. But this would be cool. A crescent moon, a dragon's head, ooh, a crown, or a snake. I can't decide between dragon head and crescent moon. I like both of those. How dare you make me choose like this? Okay, I'm gonna go for the dragon, because I'm a born on the dragon year, so it would make sense, right? I don't know how old I am in the game, but if I apply to the same rules as I'm born, doesn't matter. The wandering and clearly raving soothsayer told you that the sign of the dragon head was an omen portending valor in battle, but you think he was just trying to get you to give him some gold. Prenzi walks around you slowly, taking in your overall appearance and making some adjustments. I think maybe in this scenario, since she's not a good warrior or a fighter, or she doesn't go to battles and stuff, maybe this is supposed to mean not like a physical battle, but also like emotional battle, or how she's battling right now. It'll have to do, she says at last. What are you going to call yourself? Oh right, you can't go around calling yourself Medne. You need a name fitting your new identity. You'll call yourself Tercites de Flores Artegal Hieronimo Or I can make up my own fake name. I'm a dude, right? I can't think of a name to give, so I'm gonna call myself Artigal. Because I kinda like that one. Artigal, Prenzy says. Artigal, alright, I like it. But what about you, you say? What's your fake name? What are you going to wear? Prenzy grins. If I take off my cap and bells and this colorful stuff, that's probably disguise enough. You're the one with the noble face. Prenzy removes her motley, grabs a frivolous and complicated hat, and plants it on her head. There, I'll claim to be a haberdasher who happens to meet up with a traveling scholar on the road. Why don't I be the haberdasher and you be the scholar? You protest. Prenzy waves away your objection. You know nothing of forest escapes, she says. To ask such a simple question. You can call me Nell if we run into anyone. Now let's explore the forest and see if we get caught by dogs or outlaws first. Prenzy smiles at you. She really does look quite different out of her full outfit. It's funny to see her like this. What do you do before running for the forest? I say, I hope Morgan made it out alright. I clap Prenzy on the shoulder and thank her for her help. I smile back and tell Prenzy that she looks good out of her usual garb. I meet her eyes and kiss. Oh my god, why this game wants me to kiss everyone? I'm gonna say about Morgan that I hope Morgan made it out alright. Me too, Prenzy says. Let's get over to the meeting spot and find her. Quickly now, Artigal. Together you run for the forest as the sound of horses hunting horns and dogs get closer and closer. You find a small grove of thick-trunked trees near a steep gully to hide behind, and you hope the hunters pass you by. Men start shouting and hollowing over a nearby hillock. This way! A man cries. You and Prenzy hold your breath as the hunters ride by. You manage to conceal yourself for the moment and you remain undetected. Yes. You are nearly at the edge of the woods, but the hunters are now clearly heading for your hiding spot. They will find you in a moment. What do you do? We climb a tree as high as we can. I throw some food to get the dogs off the trail. We cover ourselves with leaves and sticks. I would climb a tree, honestly. When you thought of this plan, you hadn't accounted for how difficult it would be to climb in this disguise. Your scholar robes are as awkward as a dress for climbing, and you find it hard to make progress as the long sleeves keep getting in your way. At one point, you manage to get the hood caught on a branch, and that's when you realize this isn't going to work. I didn't think of that actually. You fall back down to the ground. Clearly, you will not be able to climb your way out of the peril you find yourself in. The hunters approach you. It looks like you will have to trust your disguise to save you. You step boldly forth from the grove as the hunters approach. Good afternoon, you call to the mustached hunter holding a horn. A beautiful day for a ride, isn't it? I'm just here with my haberdasher companion having a picnic. Where are you off to? The lead hunter regards you with a seasoned eye. We're looking for Lady Medne, the Duke's child. Have you seen her? I'm afraid not, I say. I've been here for an hour and we haven't seen a thing. Just a beautiful view. The lead hunter dismounts and steps closer to you. What is your attitude as he approaches? I'm ready to defend myself if necessary. I'm keeping vigilant for any possible weakness I can exploit. I'm keeping my focus on staying in character. I'm gonna be focused on staying in my character. You try to imagine that you are a real scholar and consider carefully how you ought to speak. The lead hunter pauses and sighs you and Prenzy up. You are? He asks. Merely a poor scholar, you say, holding out the book as proof, reading thick tomes and discussing them in learned fashion. I see, says the lead hunter. And what is that book that you're reading there? It's Plato. It's a good read, lots of fun. You're having trouble keeping in character, and you keep forgetting to keep your voice sounding like a man's. Lots of pages. You can turn them, and so forth. In a panic, you began to demonstrate how to turn pages. Prenzy is holding her hand over her face. She seems to be uncontrollably laughing. Luckily enough, the hunters don't suspect that the daughter of dukes might be disguised as a scholar, and they restrain their barking dogs, which are trying to lunge at you. Instead, they seem convinced that they are dealing with dangerous lunatics, probably escapees from some house of bedlam. Oh god, they think we are crazy. Very good, very good, the lead hunter says. He whispers to one of his men, better not to contradict someone so clearly unhinged. He turns back to you. Well, best of luck at your picnic. And without another word, the hunters ride off. Yes, it worked. Or the skies worked, can't believe it. Having managed to evade the hunters, you and Prenzy enter the imposing ancient forest. The world darkens, and your eyes take a while to adjust. As you enter under the roof of branches, it strikes you that you are now out of Father's land. Only a few sunbeams make their way through the thick cover of leaves above, and you have to watch your feet carefully so that you don't trip on a massive root. It has been a long time since you've entered the forest, and then only the very edge. Among the townsfolk, dark looks and hasty, superstitious gestures of warding off evil usually accompany any tales of venturing deeper in. Centuries of leaves must have sprouted, yellowed, and fallen to the earth here, and there is no path to guide you. You are struck by how beautiful it is, not only to be here, but to be free. You stop, close your eyes, and listen to the rustling of Prenzy's step, chirping insects and woodpeckers going about their business. 3 hours later, the charm of place has started to wear off. You were supposed to meet Morgan somewhere around here. Where was it? Was it near the tall rock by the cracked willow tree, or was it the cracked rock by the tall willow tree? What? Ah, okay. I get it. Prenzy swears it was sycamore tree, not a willow tree, but since neither of you know what a sycamore tree looks like, that's not very helpful. But you probably should have kept to the edge of the forest. You've become sort of disoriented. Prenzy is still in a good mood, though, which is wonderful to see. She is merrily singing a song about being lost in the woods. Great choice of song. It's starting to get darker, and you and Prenzy are very tired. You're going to have to find a place to camp out for the night and try to get a little sleep. Surely Morgan will meet up with you in the morning. You find a soft bed of moss in clearing. It looks like this is going to be the best you can do. You and Prenzy divide up the food that Morgan packed for you and eat a very satisfying dinner, leaving only a half sandwich for tomorrow. Well, it looks like this is the sleeping spot, Prenzy says. One spot, two of us. I would not mind sharing it with you, Prenzy. We can take turns. You sleep on the moss, I'll find somewhere else nearby. Would you mind finding some? Okay. I think I would say I would not mind sharing it with you, Prenzy. Since we're friends. 8 years, so it's fine. Prenzy's eyes flick open a little wider, and she looks at you inquisitively. I mean in a friendly way, just so we both get sleep. I would like to sleep close to you, Prenzy, unless it would be too awkward. I would say the first one, honestly. Um That's fine with me. However, you should know I swear. I kick quietly when I sleep. Sorry in advance, Princess smirks at you. The sleeping arrangements have been settled. Now it's nearly time to turn in. What do you do before going to bed? Appreciate the natural beauty around me in verse. Scout the area for possible dangers just one more time. Word bandy words with Prenzy. Mm. I'm either gonna talk with Prenzy or look around for any dangers. Hmm. I think I will go and look around just in case. You look about carefully, scouting the ground for signs of danger. A few little camels scurry under rocks as you approach, but otherwise all is quiet. You wonder how you would know if there were danger. Would there be spoor? You aren't even sure what spoor is, right? You've heard of trackers noticing bent blades of grass, so you look at the grass for a while. Some of the blades are bent, and some aren't. Does that mean something? You sniff at the wind to try to catch a scent. You have no idea if there's any danger. Let's just say there's no danger. You head back to camp. The evening is quiet, and you try to relax to put the events of the day behind you. And as a fate would have it, at just that moment, that a ferocious brown bear with death in its eyes crashes through the underbrush, running at you with a terrifying growl, intent on tearing you to pieces. Well, that's a way to end the scene. Wow, honestly. All right. I've read this a while. We finished Act 1. I think this is where I'm gonna leave it because I'm getting a little tired of reading. But I enjoy the story. Definitely, I'm here to know what's gonna happen next. This is super fun. What do you think about this? About our escape and my choices and everything about the story itself. Overall, it's very fun to read, and I can't wait to know what's gonna happen next. And I hope my reading wasn't too terrible, honestly. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, you enjoyed my little reading session here. And see you guys next time. Keep hunting your dreams. Bye.